about days when you feel unmotivated. So I do these YouTube lives every Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern time, Saturdays at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys can show your appreciation by donating any amount that you feel is equal to the value of this video. The details will be in the description. And so for today, I'm going to be doing my original one recap slide, and then I will have 4 slides for you guys that I will be talking about why or what to do on days when you feel unmotivated. What to do on days when you feel unmotivated. And so the recap episode is I'm going to use the same one that I did on Saturday, which is optimism offers opportunities. So I was looking for a recap episode that would relate most to this, and this was the one I popped in, and I was like, what greater? Just use the same one. Just use the same one. Don't make it more difficult, Mitchell. And so that's what I did. So optimism offers opportunities. And the recap slide is on you don't have to be happy all the time. You don't have to be happy, right? Because usually being happy, it's usually associated with, positive feelings, and positive feelings yield to more energy, and more energy allows you to do more things, right? And you're willing to do more things. But what happens on days when you don't feel that way? And yesterday, literally Monday, was one of those days. So today is the second, August 2nd, 2022. Yes, yesterday was August 1st, 2022. And you will see in quote unquote almost real time that I started writing everything down. You'll see it. But let me get into the recap episode. So you don't have to be happy all the time. And let's start out with this quote by Peter Yang. It was from a TED Talk. So if you guys are interested, search up Peter Yang TED Talk. So by being realistic, we can by definition only maintain the reality that we have, right? If you wish to improve reality, then you must be optimistic. If you wish to destroy it, then pessimism is your friend. So what does it mean? It means like I said, by default, if you don't know how to approach it, by default, have a better view on it. So what does that mean? It means, do you see the things as half full, or do you see the cup as half empty? And it's up to you on what to decide, right? I think there was this story, I don't know if it's true or not, but the moral was, after this, there's this two guys in this car. They both got into an accident, or both of them in a car, and one of them walked out and started blaming the world, blaming what happened. This is what happened to my car, this is what happened to me, things sucks, everything happens to me. And there's the other guy that walked out and was like, wow, I can't believe today is such a good day. Like, even though car got destroyed, blah blah blah, we walked out super safe, right? And look, easily your life could have been taken from that, but it wasn't. So it depends on how you view things, right? So how do you view life? And that determines on whether or not people want to be around you. So are you good company around people? And if you always have this negative, nasty attitude towards life, most people won't want to be around you because of that. So how do you approach life? So that was by Peter Yang. Okay, so pessimism will be your friend if you want to destroy it. So reality is, you won't always have happy days, though being optimistic offers you that tomorrow will be a better day. And you're going to plan ahead. So you're going to plan ahead and make it better. That's the goal. So instead of having one of those days where you feel super unmotivated, super unhappy, you're not exactly excited about life, what can I do to prepare my next day? And just know that maybe even the next day might suck, and you don't know that. Maybe it's a coincidence, but it's how you plan your next days, so that maybe your next week will be better, so that your future will be better. Okay? So one of the quickest way, if you're feeling unmotivated and you're unhappy, one of the quickest way to feel good about yourself is being able to give to another person without anything or any expectations. And what I mean by that is, look, if you feel like doing something nice, do something nice without anything in return or expectations. You could be anonymous, whatever it is. do something nice, right? Pay it forward, like with the whole Starbucks thing, or whatever it is. Just do something nice for another person. Or maybe if you have a friend that that is not feeling too well, that needs to talk about certain things in their chest, and they need to vent it out, and you're there to listen to them without criticizing and condemning and making them feel bad about how they feel, they will appreciate you 100%. I could guarantee you. And that's why listening is a very important skill. And that's one of those skills that took me a while to learn. And I'm still learning to this day. But yeah, one of the quickest way, right, to feel better about yourself, because it's your physiology, right? If your physiology is down, you don't really move, then what? um it's like it's your emotions is literally your energy in motion. So what kind of energy are you putting out now? Another bullet point, the next bullet point is a lot of what we can do to improve our self-love and behavior is learning to unlearn. So it's unlearning some of the things that we have accustomed to in the past. So whatever you were taught, maybe you weren't taught the right way, and it's your job to filter what is right and what is wrong. And it took me a very long time. The reason why I say that is because I thought treating people bad, even though it made me feel good about myself, was the right thing to do. That's what I really thought that. What's up, Connie? How are you? And yeah, and so I really thought that. I really thought that treating someone bad, because it made me feel good about myself, was the right thing, right? Because hey, I just based off that emotion, right? And I was completely wrong. I was completely wrong. And I started realizing, I was like, how come I'm starting to lose friends? How come people are starting to talk things behind my back? And I was like, I don't get it. I didn't know. So what I didn't know actually haunt me. My ignorance came back and bit me in the ass. So, anyways, learning to unlearn, right? This means letting go of self hate and self deprecation, letting go of that. Over here, I wrote down unwanted emotions, and when I wrote when I wrote this down, when I did the episode of optimism offers opportunities, I feel like maybe that was, I don't know, a few months to whatever time ago. I don't mean so I grew from that. I grew from that, and I don't mean unwanted emotions. I feel like every emotion that you have is really important, whether it's jealousy, happy, hatred, anger, and all that. Like, those are real emotions. Otherwise, if you take it away, I feel like you're taking away part of your being human, and no one wants to take away from, it means you have a soul, right? And so it's not that it's unwanted emotions, it's what kind of relationship you have with the emotions that you got. So if you're feeling jealous, if you're feeling hatred, anger, whatever it is, what's your relationship with that? Because it's easy to operate from a good place and a happy place once you're already happy. Obviously you're going to be in better company when you're in a good mood, right? But you are as good as your bad days, okay? So but just remember, I didn't say neglect or ignore your feelings, okay? So never do that, especially if you are aware that you're having those type of feelings and you choose to ignore it. That's ignoring reality. So that's another example for you guys. Talked about, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. So there's consequences when you ignore reality. And then you have to feel it to heal it. Okay, so you have to feel it to heal it. I cannot express that enough. I can't. Now, doesn't mean so if you're a dude, right, you're a guy, doesn't mean you go to your girl and you like just vomit all your feelings, or you just vomit your feelings towards her. No. Doesn't mean that you can't do that. No. It means that when you do talk to her, sure, fine, that's great. Of course, she's your girl, whatever, she's down to listen to you. But if it happens so consistently every single day, she's gonna look at you like, okay, this guy is mentally breaking down. Can he even take care of himself? If he can't take care of himself, what makes you think he could be a good provider for us? I feel like he's mentally unstable, right? And that's how people go crazy. And I don't want to be a mommy or a nanny. I want to be a lover. So do not use your lady as a therapist. But like I said, if you have something that you want to talk about, you could discuss about it. You could try to keep it light. Hey, you know what? If your girl comes to you and be like, hey, I've noticed, your energy is kind of a little bit lower. What's been going on? You'd be like, you know what, babe? Past couple of days, past couple of weeks, I can't say I was feeling the best. I know that I know what I need to do, but I could share what's been going on and blah 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 blah. But then at the end of it is, can you offer a solution? Can you offer a solution that you're willing to take into action that will take you out of that depressive state? Can you do that? And if you can, then she could still view you as, okay, you know what, this guy that I'm with, he's having one of those bad days. He's still the rock in the ocean. He's not gonna be thrown off. So he's having one of those bad days, and that's okay. Everybody deserves to have bad days. Okay, you can't change the circumstances. What you can do is change how you view it. You could change your emotions towards it, right? So, like I said, you have to feel it to heal it, and ask yourself why. Why are you in that situation, and how can I get out of it? And every not a lot of people do that. You'd be surprised. Most people focus too much on a problem, and that's what it gets you stuck. And those are one of life's influences. There's three influences: one that pulls you to this pulls you in the past, one that pulls you to the side, distractions, and one that pulls you forward. And not a lot of people have things that pulls them forward, right? They have a lot of motivation, but like I said, that's not pull. That's more of a push energy. You want to have something that's emotionally compelling for you to want to keep doing, that pulls you. It's kind of like gravity. It just draws you in, right? So what do you have? And what I have is what I can offer you guys, right? It's how you show up. Now, um today's episode, I would say it will be, I wouldn't say it's different, but what I can tell you guys is, when I was doing this episode yesterday, prior to that, I didn't even, well, okay, let me give you the rundown. So on Saturday, after my show, I went out, I went to my friends, we started eating, had a great time. Sunday, we had a great time, means alcohol was involved, and then soju, to be specific. Maybe a soju, I don't know, right? And so Sunday hit, and I was like, what's going on? Okay, maybe I just needed that day to rest. So I did. All I did was rest. I didn't do anything. I just slept, woke up, ate, all that. And then Monday hit, and I was like, all right, Mitchell, what the hell is wrong with you? What's going on? How come you feeling so unmotivated? Like, you got something to do the next day, which is today, which is this topic. So as unmotivated as I was, I did a topic on me being unmotivated, on which is today's topic, days when I'm feeling unmotivated. And so this is the things that I did, and this is, the slide is called what I do. What did I do, right? So I want to start out with, your relationship is as good as your worst days. So I wouldn't say it was my worst day, but it was one of those days where I obviously was not feeling the best. Obviously, I was not motivated. I didn't want to do anything. I felt like, just, why don't I just open this bag of chips, because I'm already feeling bad. And feeling bad about yourself isn't going to change anything. It's what you're going to do is how you show up. And by default, and I tried too, trust me, by default, I was trying to be optimistic about it, but it was still one of those days where I still couldn't do it. I don't know what was going on. So by default, since I couldn't be optimistic about certain things, I started writing things down. Okay, and so this is it. So I wrote this down. Okay, this is me personally. I'm reading it now. This is me personally. I know I can't rely on motivation, but there are days when I need a jump start. I just show up. So this is me. This is how it sounds like chicken scratch, and it is. It's because this is how I pull myself out of this unmotivated feeling. Okay, and so hopefully it could relate to you, and hopefully this could help you. But yeah, this is me personally. I know I can't rely on motivation, but there are days when I need a jump start. I just show up. If I am not as enthusiastic I listened to that first. So that's what I wrote down. I listened to that first. Was there something throughout my week that put me off? What was going on? Um, is it just one of those days, right? Even as I'm writing this now, August 1st, 2022 at 3:15 p.m., I wrote down I'm dealing with the relationship with how I'm not feeling that drive, that motivation. I write it down and I listen to my own thought. So I was listening to my own thought, and I paused for a little bit, and then I wrote this down. I wrote, I know that this is temporary. It's not who I am. I'm confident enough to bring myself back. And I put in parentheses, maybe I just needed a nap, right? Because your physiology matters. Maybe it's because I didn't do much, right? Maybe it's because maybe Mitchell, you were just in bed all day and you didn't do much. Okay, physiology matters. As I'm writing this, I'm probably going to sit down and read or listen to an audiobook for at least half an hour. I love learning, so being able to hone that and grow internally means that the external will grow too, right? So my outside might, what I could put out. Um, and so literally that's everything that I wrote down. I wrote word for word. I didn't. If I messed up, it's because I wrote it and I left it the way it was. I didn't try to change anything. I just left it the way it was. But now, how this is what I do. I like to listen to my own thought. I write it down. I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure it out. By default, I was trying to be optimistic, but for some reason I couldn't, right? Connie, you said, thanks for being honest and sharing about this, Mitchell, and there's nothing wrong with it, just sharing your thought. I can relate to this as someone who I mentor, leader type of person. People expect you to be on like that all the time, but life throws situations at you. Exactly, right? And we're allowed to have those days where we just don't feel motivated. And what I do know is, like I said, the bigger your why, the easier to how. My why, this is what's most important to me, is by me showing up. Being, if I don't show up here today because I'm feeling unmotivated, that that's the regret, and the regret weighs tons. Disciplines weigh ounces. So the discipline is to still show up even though I was unmotivated. And I knew I needed a jump start. So I was like, I don't know what topic to write on. I just didn't feel like doing anything. I really didn't. And so that's why I wrote about this, being unmotivated. All right. And this is what I do know. When I'm upset or angry and I could not figure it out, what I enjoy doing is I like to listen to my own thoughts. And if I can't figure it out, I would like to look it up and see what are some of the ways that I could approach this so that I could get out of this loop. Because staying in here, one, that's not me. I know this is just a bad day, but how can I pull myself out of it without dragging someone down with it? Because you ever notice there are people that have bad days and they want you to feel just as bad for them? And if you could relate, they're just as happy. And here's also the big news too, right? 80% of people don't care, and 20% of the people are glad that we have them. Or is it the other way around? Something like that, 80-20 rule, right? Most people don't give a shit about your problems. And some of them, if not most, are happy that you have them, because it means that I'm not, it makes me feel good about myself. So, but that's what I like to do. If I couldn't figure myself out, I listen to my own thoughts. Okay. Now let's move on to the next slide, which is when days demand more than you feel like giving. When days demand more than you feel like giving. So I want to start out with a quote by Coach Corey Wayne. It goes, we don't always have control over the circumstances of our lives or what happens to us. We always have, but what we do have is we always have control over the meaning that we give to the events of our lives. So it basically, is the cup half full or is the cup half empty? That's really all up to you. And so I decided yesterday, when I wasn't feeling the best, I was like, you know what? Today's just not that day, but that's okay. I know that that is not me, and I know that I will get out of it. I know that I would get out of it. Because why? I've done it before. It's just that yesterday felt a little bit more than usual, which is normal, which is cool, right? I felt a little bit more than normal, and I couldn't figure out what exactly that it was. And I'm thinking, like I said, it might be because of the soldier. I don't know. I don't know. Or maybe it's because of the lack of exercise. I don't know. But for whatever it was, the meaning that I gave to it was, look, I'm just having those bad days. It's okay. You're going to get out of it. And once you, but you know what? Plan it out. Write it down. Mitchell, maybe you could figure something out, right? Um, so when you feel fragile and at the worst time, that's when they test you. And what I meant they is it could be your partner, it could be life. And like I said, you're going to feel a little bit more fragile. You're going to feel a little bit more sensitive. Means that you're going to be more bothered. So little things seems to irk you just a little bit more than usual, right? Because obviously if you're in a better mood, what happens when you're in a good mood and someone's trying to tear you down, you'd be like, man, I ain't gonna do nothing. But then now when you're already in a bad mood or not so great mood, and someone says something to you, what happens? You get defensive. You get this whole competitive type of mindset, this competitive energy, and then you're trying to like maybe later, yeah, cool. Maybe it's Neo, I don't know. But yeah, so I was like, I gotta snap out of this whole competitive mindset and be more collaborative and try to understand why I'm in this situation, right? So, and that's when they test you. And the reason why they test you is so because usually it's like, look, can I trust you or rely on you? Can I trust you? Can I rely on you even on your worst times? Because then even on your worst times, people could still tolerate you during the worst times. Guess what? You're gonna be better company during the good times, right? So, um, default by showing up. Default by showing up. Now, like I said, I tried to be more optimistic, and I think I was. I think I was being optimistic about it, but I defaulted by showing up anyways. I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just try it. And, no matter the circumstances, because things will happen. I have no control over it. I had no control as to why. Maybe I did. I don't know. That I was feeling that way. I was like, shit, maybe it's just one of those days. Don't don't mind food, you. Yeah. So, anyways, yesterday, even when I was trying to figure things out, I didn't give it my all because I felt like I did, and I was like, but I still showed up. I gave it the best that I could at that time. Let's see, Mitchell. What if you can't mentally get out of your days and the same situation repeats? Um, in what context is it like? Is it because so by not knowing, what I always try to do is I always try to write things down. I always try to figure it out. Like, what is bothering me? What is pulling me back? What is holding me back? What is that resistance that's causing me to be in that situation? Right. Um, and it could be a variety of reasons. But as for yesterday, I knew that, hey, you know what? It was probably because I was unable to move, and I had a good time on Saturday. Maybe I paid the price for those 2 days, right? And I just kind of pulled myself out of that, and I was trying to figure it out. But then I started learning a little bit more about myself, and I was being more aware. And the worst thing that you could do to yourself is knowing that you need to do it and not doing it. If you're aware, like if someone showed you a piece of paper or a mirror and be like, this is what's wrong, and you're like, I know, but I don't want to do anything. Like, literally, that's the worst thing that you could do for yourself. It's not feeling it till you till you feel regular. Just act on doing it. And the same situation repeats. If the same situation repeats, obviously something that you're doing is not right. What's the definition of insanity? I think that's a cliche now, right? But the bullshit never stops. That's how life goes. I feel like life is miserable. Like, we all have one destination, right? If you think about it, life, everybody, we all have one destination at the end of life. What is it? You can figure that out. But the bullshit never stops. The bullshit never stops. And some days you handle things better than some days, and other days not so much. And some, like I said, some days demand a little bit more from you, or maybe it's the same demand, but it's just that you're like, man, I don't want to do anything today, right? Bitter melon is serious stuff. I love that. So but by showing up every time with the best attitude, it builds consistency. It builds, efficacy too, right? Like you consistently going to perform better every single time. And so it's like knowing that I know that bullshit never stops. And I know that I'm gonna fall off that horse every now and then, but it's how I bounce back up. And knowing that I can, because I've done it before, right? Taking action breeds confidence and courage. Inaction breeds fear and doubt. And so the thing is that successful people show up better despite outside or inner voices or noises. So that's usually what happens. Yaku, you're an artist. You let me know. Are there some of the days where you're like, man, I can't wait to draw? And then there are other times where you're like, I don't feel the best. What do you do? What do you do in that regards? I would like to know, right? As an artist, because your creative energy requires you to be creative, and if you're feeling unmotivated, that's what kind of draws away from that creativity, right? So, like I said before, I want to eat junk food. I want those chips that I had, but I made a commitment to myself, right? My bigger the why, and the why was I will only allow myself to have, unless I'm traveling, right? But on the days where I feel like it's just those regular days where I'm trying to improve myself, I don't eat junk food Monday through Friday, weekdays. And then on the weekends, I allow myself this little cheat, whether it's chips, drinking soda, whatever it is, I allow that for myself. Um, but like I said, that was my biggest why. And the reason for that is because when I get older, I want to be able to move. That's it. I want to be able to, still run when I'm like 60, 70 years old. I want to be able to do that. And the reason why I know that's possible is because while working at the gym before, there's this lady. Remember, she hurt her leg, and the doctor said she was not able to like do this ever again. And she was like, no. And so she came back every single day. She stretched, she rolled it out, she did exercises, and I think she's 80 something right now. 80 something. She doesn't run, but she still shows up, and she's on an elliptical, being 80, and like she's full of energy. And I was like, wow, like this is inspiring, right? And here I am just looking at other people. I'm like, well, what made you not be able to get up as easily? There was, well, this is just old age. And I refuse to believe that, because I've seen it done possible. And then, so when I bring it up to them, when they're like, oh, it's just old age. But I was like, but this person's older than you. You're 70. This person's older than you. How come they can do it? I hear excuses. Oh, they've been doing it their whole lives. I haven't done that. Okay. So if you knew it, why didn't you do it? And you see what happens when you ignore that? Let's see. If I'm not feeling it, or get artist block, and still start loose. Oh, so you just kind of doodle a little bit, and it keeps the progress growing. The longer not doing something, the more it will be harder to keep going. Exactly. Okay, great. So even though you're like, man, instead of doing choreography for me, right? Sometimes I just let, sounds weird. Can't say it. Freestyle. I freestyle a little bit. I listen to songs. Maybe it's not the ones I always listen to for choreography and stuff. I freestyle a little bit, have some fun. Sometimes it's not always about being, you could take yourself serious, but sometimes you gotta allow yourself a little bit of a break. But yeah, so I gave what I value meaning. I gave what I value have meaning. So being able to get up, right? Being able to move even at an older age, set myself goals, gave myself an aim so that I could get up every morning. I could do that. Even when days where I don't feel like it, I wanted to make it as easy and effortless as possible so that I could do it. And so, right now, in the current situation that I'm in, living in this place, there's things all over the place. Right now, this backdrop, it looks nice. Don't, but like I said, don't let that fool you. Everything is all over the place. Um, but what I do believe is a clear space is a clear mind, and that's what I want. I want to have that, and I've always wanted it, but I was unable to do it until now. So it's, you could call it manifesting. You could think about it like, oh, Mitchell had a plan, whatever plan manifestation it is. I'm going to make it happen, and it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Um, but that was my emotionally compelling reason. I wanted to be healthy. I want to be able to do that. If I have kids, I want to be able to grow older so that I could play with them, right? I don't want to be 60 and be like, nah, you do it yourself. It's like, no, I want to be able to still, do my part. You're not alone in this. Clutter space, Mitchell, right? Um, Connie, I can show you my space later. But yeah, the bigger the why, the easier to have. And my next slide is winners find a way, not a way out. So instead of complaining about the problem that I had yesterday, feeling unmotivated, I could have easily kind of just dwindled down and just started, what's the point? Just give me that bag of chips. You know what? Let me just, yeah, forget it. Let's just go. Let me go get McDonald's, right? Not because I want to, but because it's like, what's the point, right? Because there are some times where I'm like, hey, you know what, Mitchell? I want some McDonald's, and I choose to get it, not because. And trust me, yesterday I wanted McDonald's, but yesterday was Monday, and I made a promise to myself, and I'm gonna keep up to that promise because I want to hold myself accountable, right? Um, yeah. So if I want something, I choose to do it, and it's because I want to do it, not because of the emotions I'm feeling. I'm like, what's the point? Let's just do it, right? I want to at least have control over myself. So winners find a way, not a way out. And when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Dr. Wayne Dyer. Um, and what when you know that the days suck and you choose to ignore it, that is when suffering occurs. When you choose to ignore the fact that the day sucks, if yesterday, if I chose to believe that, look, today sucks, but nah, let me just, let me just psych myself. Let me just, it doesn't suck. This is that's where suffering occurs, is because I'm not listening to my own feelings and my own thoughts. And so it requires a lot of resilience. It requires a lot of practice and discipline to get to that place where, today does suck. It's not the best day that I had, and that's okay. But I'm choosing to provide myself this road so that I'm like, okay, you know what? Even though today is not that great, maybe my tomorrow would be better. But I know that tomorrow won't be better if I keep ignoring it. So I don't want that to happen. So I decided to, you know what? Let me listen to my own thoughts. What's going on? What's bothering you? What's freaking you out, Mitchell? What's going on, right? So when you choose to ignore what's happening inside, that's when suffering occurs. And that's the consequence of ignoring reality, right? When you ignore reality, that's what happens. You get the consequence. You could ignore reality, but you can't ignore consequences. So when you choose to brush it off to the side and sweep it under the rug, the problems are still there. Just because you're not looking at it doesn't mean it does not exist. Especially if you know it and you choose not to face it, which is facing fear, it expands, it grows. It's kind of like what Jordan Peterson was talking about, where he was talking about conflict delay. If you know there is a problem, if there's something that's unresolved between you and a family member, you and your partner, right? They done something, but you choose to ignore it. One, whatever you tolerate, you invite more of. And two, if you ignore it, you're creating yourself more suffering for the future. Whether whatever you're suffering now, it's gonna happen again if you choose to ignore it. So it's better to confront it. And like I said, I don't like me. I hate confrontation. I don't like it. I don't like confrontation. What I do know is the fact that if I don't approach it, it's only going to expand and it's going to grow. It's kind of like a bacteria or virus. It just expands and it gets worse and worse and worse. Next thing you know, you got to chop a leg off. I don't want to do that, right? Or we got to sever this relationship. That's not what I want. I'd rather approach it right now. Hey, um, you said something earlier that was bothering you. What was it? What was that was bothering you? Also, if there's something in the future that you don't like, and I get that you get upset, but before you get upset, can you try to at least talk to me about it before you get mad at me about it? Because I don't know if I did something wrong, and if I did, let me take my own accountability and change that. Okay. Let's see. I am guilty of this, avoiding situation to face head on with fears, but I'm working on this. Well, that's good. If you, but like I said too, Connie, if you know that and you choose to avoid it, that like you know what's going to happen later on. You know that there is going to be suffering. It's only a matter of time. So right now, as we're getting older, everything just keeps stacking, right? You get more and more things, more and more problems, right? It's about letting go of some of that resistance, whatever's holding you back, right? Then you will be in better company. People will want to be around you a little bit more. They will start inviting you to like events and whatnot, right? So, um, yesterday, like I said, I knew my day sucked yesterday. I know that it would take me some time to bounce back to better days, right? It might take a day, it might take a week, but I'm patient, right? I'm patient, and I know that there are better days ahead. I know that. It's just that it's one of those days, and it happens. It happens, right? And it's about having a good attitude. It's your attitude. It's your attitude. And my last episode is I don't know how many times I've said attitude, but whoever watched that last episode, you know how many times I've said it. Like I said, maybe 170 sometimes. But yeah, so I chose to live a life by accepting that one bad day does not mean my life is like that. And you'd be surprised, people live for that, and they it's a self fulfilling prophecy. It just keeps, oh, look at me, I had a bad day, see, this is what happens. And then like they thrive off of these temporary things. And it was funny, it's because I was talking to JR earlier, and we were talking about why we do the things that we do. And I was like, why? I was like, I know where you're at, I know what you're doing, but why did you choose that? And then so we started sharing our experiences, and I was like, the reason why I do the things that I do on YouTube, or before it was on IG Live, the reason why I did is because what I feel like I could offer, my mess became my message, and I was able to share that with you. And I was like, hey, you know what? Some people might experience this, and some people might get something good from it. So not just my experiences, but also being able to educate myself so that I could share something that will benefit you guys in the future, so that maybe it provides more value to you, right? And if I want to be consistently doing this in the future, it's what the market pays for, the value you bring to the market. The people will pay you based on the value you bring. So if you could take a little bit away of some suffering, people are more willing to, right? And yeah, not to talk about money or anything, but eventually if you want to continue doing this, somehow, some way, you got to find a way so that you can sustain yourself, right? And it's about being able to do that. And I was like, you know what? And the reason why I don't, as much as I enjoy dancing, going out back then, before COVID, clubbing and all that, waiting for that Saturday, waiting for that weekend to happen again, right? Monday sucks, can't wait, thank God it's Friday. Mitchell back in the days, I was like, none of those times that I went to the club. I was like, I never heard of anybody that went to the club and was like, that changed my life. That was a fun night. That's what I hear. I don't hear people be like, damn, that club changed my life. That day that we went changed my life. I was like, I want to at least have a something that I could provide some value that I could offer to people, right? Say one day I'm not here, right? Maybe we could reflect back onto some of these videos, whatever it may be. But I was like, I would like some legacy. I want to have my life to have some sort of meaning, right? And so that's what I chose, and it's fulfilling to me. And if it could help you guys, everything would be great. Everybody could benefit from it. And so that's where it's more of the collaborative mindset versus the competitive mindset. And that was just, that's just what we were talking about, me and JR. So, JR, if you're watching this, it was a great talk as always. But yeah, so I chose that path. And it's like I said, it's funny because most people get lost in that loop and they choose to believe that their life sucks based off that one day. Based off that one day. And they decided that after that everything sucks because life sucks. So what's the point of living, right? Give me that bag of chips. Um, I don't want to go to the gym anymore. I don't want to work. I don't want to work on anything that's yeah. And then so don't be upset if no one wants to be around you. If you're not good company to other people. If you have this nasty attitude because you don't even enjoy life, right? And that's why talking to Bree earlier, and Shevelin, she was talking about having an unappreciative boss. Like, how do you think they're going to be good company for other people? You know what I mean? And if you consistently trying to fake this energy, right, to the higher ups, when your district manager walks in or whatever, and you have to always put on this front, like that's gonna be draining for you if it's not you. So I would rather much come from a more authentic and genuine place so that it doesn't require a lot of energy. I get to be me all the time. And if I get to be me and you get to be you around me, and I get to be me around you, then we're gonna have a good energy. We're gonna have a great time, and it's gonna be a good time, right? So putting up this front, it draws a lot of energy from you, and not to me that's too much. To me, that's too much. Now, lastly, I want to talk about success is around the corner, right? Success is around the corner, and I know that is going to happen eventually. I know it's not going to be an easy path. I know that it's going to require a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of trial and errors. Look at the light bulb, okay? Let's talk about the light bulb. How many times? 10,000 times? People thought he was crazy. He was like, nah, I just figured it out. Like after 7 something thousand times, that 7 something thousand times didn't work. Same thing with the whole Bruce Lee kicking. He was like, he practiced one kick 10,000 times. Yeah, that's a lot of times, right? And I think maybe that's where they got the 10,000 hours. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I know that success is around the corner because I have an aim. This is what I want to do. I want to be able to help you guys, whoever's watching, right? Whether it's on the live or on a replay, whatever it is, I want to be able to help you guys out in a much shorter content in the future. But success is around the corner. And discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Jim Rohn. So if the feeling in our heart is anxiety, then the function in our hand is powerless. So if you're feeling anxious about certain things, it's usually because you don't really have a plan. You never really plan it out for yourself. And so when you feel powerless, you start maybe being angry. And behind anger is fear. So maybe because of fear, and us as humans, we have these two primary fears. One, that we're not going to be loved or liked, and two, we're not good enough. We're not adequate. That we're inadequate, right? We're not good enough. So if we have that, now we feel powerless, then we get angry and we get upset as to why the world is like this. Then we keep dropping down into this very competitive state. And when you keep dropping and you keep lowering your expectations for yourself, when you become this person of apathy, you're like, F life, forget life. I don't even want to do anything anymore. What's the point? And that is where someone just lose it. right? Then you start like filling yourself with like temporary pleasures, whatever it may be. Maybe it's alcohol, substances, right? Going out, waiting for that, to me, waiting, just working so that you can work for that weekend to happen is not really living life. That's my opinion. Um, your help was very appreciated always, Mitchell. Thank you, Connie. Appreciate you. Thank you. But yeah, that's not how I want to live my life. And I look, you get to choose however you want to live your life. I can't motivate you. You can only motivate yourself. You have to participate in your own rescue. No one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. But what I can offer you is this blueprint. There are ways that you could get out of that situation based off reflecting within yourself. Okay. And unknowingly, side note, unknowingly, I started doing that in all my relationships I had in the past that I had. And I started realizing, I was like, yo, Mitchell, like, okay, I know she cheated on you. Even though it wasn't my fault that she cheated, right? Maybe she was always a cheater. I don't know. But it's like, well, Mitchell, did you do something that made her want to cheat? Did you not court her? Did you not date her? And the answer was, yeah, Mitchell, you were not a good boyfriend at the time. So how can you become a better boyfriend? Not to take away that maybe she's still a cheater. It's maybe you could delay it. But then it's also your job to figure out whether or not you could, is she a cheater or not? How is she? Then you got to properly screen those people out in and out of your life. So it's about working on yourself, understanding, so that you could not only protect yourself, but to become the best version that you could offer to the best person. And they could reciprocate that same feeling once you attract the right person into your life. So let's see, where was I at? So, like I said, I had a choice. I was talking about the anxiety in your heart, then the function in your hand is powerless. So I had a choice. Do I want to focus on what I could not control, which is the lack of motivation, or do I want to focus on what I can do to regain more control and power for myself? And when I say power and control, I'm just talking about myself. I'm not talking about power and controlling other people. You can't do that, okay? You'll only build resentment. Unless they're kids, then you gotta teach them, right? You gotta teach them. I don't have kids, um, anyways, yesterday when I was feeling unmotivated, even though I want that bag of chips or whatnot, I was like, you know what? Today's one of those days. It's shitty. Couldn't figure it out. Let me write it down. So I did. And after I wrote it down, I was like, but there's some things that I still need to feel myself. So I was like, you know what? I still have a whole bunch of vegetables. I still have some brown rice. I was like, let me cook some of that. And so what I started recently doing is I started steaming a lot of vegetables, steaming a lot of rice. And I felt like that was the best decision that I've made. My skin feels better. I feel more hydrated, right? I could have easily just chugged down like a whole bunch of Coca-Cola, but I didn't. And I was like, you know what? Let me feel myself. So eating a lot of vegetables, right? I know nobody likes to hear it. It's boring. It doesn't taste the best. I get it. Tacos sounds a lot better. Today is Taco Tuesday. But yeah, so I was like, you know what? Let me choose that. And so I did, right? Eating better. And then I started educating myself, emotionally regulating my thoughts. Like what's going on through my mind? What's going on? Jackie, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, today's one of those days. Yesterday was one of those days. I wasn't feeling the best, right? So I did a topic on not feeling the best. So is it that I was unmotivated or I was actually getting motivation by being unmotivated? You let me know. But like I said, I was trying to regain control back for myself. I never choose to control other people. And the reason why is that I know that love is allowing. Love is an act. Love. Love is basically letting them come and go as they please. But of course, you still got to set and enforce healthy boundaries. It doesn't mean she could sleep with any guy that she wants and come back and be like, hey, you told me love is allowing, right? Look, that's not what I meant. Okay. What I meant is you got to allow them to come and go as they please. It's the freedom of choice. And if they want to choose you, then they will come back and choose you. And if they don't, then the best negotiating position is to walk away and mean it. And a lot of this came from that book, How to Be a 3% Man by Coach Corey Wayne. So but both men and women could benefit from it. And the reason why I say that is because if you two are having disagreements, right, in a relationship, and you guys love and care about each other, if the guy reads that book, he knows how to operate from a much better place. Men who, like, examples was men who understands women don't argue with them. And especially if you're feeling like how I was feeling yesterday, I was feeling unmotivated. My energy was low. I was easily like bothered. I was more sensitive to like things. And even at that point, I was like, you know what? I know if I say something, it's not going to end well. So let me pull it back. What I want to say now will only temporarily make me feel better, but it's not going to solve anything. If anything, it creates more problem. So let me bite my tongue, hold it back a little bit, and approach it in a better time when I'm not as bothered. So doing it today. Yes, it wasn't immediate, so I didn't have to like approach it or tackle it that instant. But obviously, if it's an emergency, yeah, take care of it right away. But that's something different. But yeah, so that's what I did, and I'm glad I did that. So you're only as good as your worst days. Your relationship with yourself, with other people, is only as good as your worst days. And like I said, if you're during your bad times, during your worst days, and if people could tolerate that, like, hey, you know what? He had a shitty day, and yet he still came back with flowers for me. He still thought about me even on his worst times. Can you imagine having a guy like that in your life? Is You're gonna be like, damn, what's it like when we're having great time, when we're in Disneyland, right, with the kids, everyone's having a good time, everybody have an ice cream cone, right? Universal Studios with that butter beer. You know what I'm talking about. So it's like it's learning to deal with the bad and still flip it into a more optimistic view, or not taking it out on another person. So emotionally regulating yourself. So yeah, and here's the last few things I wrote down, which is, if I only relied on motivation to do things, I know, like I said, I will always have more bad days than good. Then nothing will ever really get done, because motivation, like I said, it requires a lot of push energy, and we only have so much to push. That's why if you choose something that's emotionally compelling, like it draws you in, it's like gravity, it just keeps you up late at night, and that's the first thing you think about in the morning, right? It's been over 2 years almost since almost 2 years since I was, with the whole live thing. Until this day, I still think about it. Some days more than others, but I still think about it. Why? Because it's emotion compelling, and I love doing it, and I always enjoy sharing it, and especially if you guys could benefit from it. And the reason why I say that too is because what I say, that person, I might never ever meet them, but it could literally change that person's life. And I don't need to know them, but if they want to be like, hey, yo, maybe I don't know, 5-10 years down the line, someone accidentally clicked on this video and was like, I accidentally clicked on one of your video and it saved my life. Like, to me, that's mind-blowing, right? And I don't know that. I don't know, and maybe, like I said, maybe one day. But like I said, if your intentions are good and you mean well, then hey, you know what? The universe speaks differently. Or if you believe in God, then God, right? But I do believe in, sharing good energy and good karma to people. That's what I do believe. But let's see. A few more things, but if I choose, okay. If I choose something that gives me a reason to get up, I'll always find a way. Cause I know that big things have small beginnings, right? Big things have small beginnings. Um, you'd be surprised. And the one thing that I realized was you don't always get the recognition right away, but it's fine. And when you do, it's great. But that's not something that you should seek. And I feel like social media has taken that away from us. It's taken away from a lot of people. Everybody wants to be someone super quick, or they want to be internet famous really quick. But you have to realize that the internet's not it's not a real thing. It's a fake portrait, some real, but fake portrait of who you really are, right? You don't you don't see a whole lot of like people with snot and yeah, you know what I mean. It's fake. Um, so I would like to ask you this. What's your attitude about what you do or what you like to do and what you enjoy? Um, and what keeps you up? What keeps you going? What do you do to continue to do the things that you do? Um, and the best choice yesterday, this is me yesterday. The best choice I've made was not to ignore what was happening. That was the best choice that I've made. The best choice was to not ignore what was happening yesterday. By understanding and listening to my own thoughts yesterday, by sitting there reflecting on what was going on, I actually got to have a much better day. Or maybe or let's just say this: if I ignored yesterday, maybe today I still have a good day. But it's through circumstances, right? But I knew that yesterday wasn't that great, and I chose to listen to it, to remedy it right there and then, so that maybe I could prevent it from the future. And so it doesn't, there's that thing from Jordan Peterson, conflict delay. And so I don't want to delay that, right? Where it gets worse in the future. So I much rather approach it now. And like I said, I don't like confrontation, especially if it means sometimes myself too. Like, damn, Mitchell, you gotta sit down and listen to yourself. Yeah, I do. Because why? If you don't do it, it's gonna get worse. So get your ass on it. Get your ass on it. Go do something. And so I did. And I started listening to my audiobooks from Audible. No sponsorship still. Audibles. And yeah, I had a great time. I started learning and I start learning more stuff. And when I learn, it motivates me. That's kind of what pushes me too as well. So I need a little jump start. So when I'm feeling the lack of motivation, I listen to things that people have to offer, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And then I get to share with you guys, and that's even better, because if you guys could benefit from it based off something that was drawing me down, I found a good outlet, right? Hey, look, I'm not feeling motivated. Let me listen to someone better. Someone better taught me something. I'm feeling a little bit better. Let me share it with you guys. You benefit from it. Fucking fabulous. Done. Done. I'm happy. Right? I'm happy. This helps motivate me. Good, Connie. I believe in us. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy how it's crazy how things work. But I choose to have a better path. That's me. I choose to live better. Um, I choose to live more genuine. I choose to live more authentic to what I feel. And I don't want to be someone that I'm not, because then that doesn't allow me to be me. And if I have to put up this front to be liked, then I'd rather not be liked. I'd rather not, because it costs too much. It costs too much. And sometimes you could do a little acting here and there, and that's fine, right? Some people might have a good time from it, but it might draw too much from me. And I don't, I, I prefer not to do that. Chevelin, you said, what motivates me the most is to achieve my goals and have a positive, energetic attitude towards achieving my goals. Yeah. So you chose. You said you chose to have a good relationship with your goals, instead of, hey, you know what? I might not. Some people, they take failure like it's their fault, as if they suck. You're like, no, I just didn't do too well. What did I miss? Let's figure it out. How can I find this? how can I pass it the next time? So you're giving yourself more opportunities so that you could, achieve your goals, right? And then you set an aim. So yeah. But yeah, that was today's show. I think I just hit the nail on the head. Boom. It is exactly 60 minutes long right now. Uh, yeah, so I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please hit that like, share it to some of your friends, whatever it is, whoever it could help. Um, but yeah, today was a little bit different. It was based off how I was feeling yesterday. And it's crazy too because I was feeling a lot better than yesterday, but the fact that I had to draw myself back into that mode of how I felt yesterday pulled me down a little bit. I don't know if you guys sensed that, but it did. I was like, man, like I have to think about how I was feeling shitty yesterday. Um, and this was how I felt. And like that energy came out too. I don't know if you guys saw it. I definitely felt it. I'm not thinking about yesterday. I'm thinking about what's happening right now, and automatically I just feel better. But yeah, you know that there are days that's not gonna be your best, and try to find something that pushes you. It's the discipline. Can you discipline yourself? Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. So you know what? And you're allowed breaks, okay? You're allowed breaks. Like when Mitchell had COVID, Mitchell took a long break and I didn't do anything. Um, and I'm glad I didn't. And I also had a lot of good friends that helped supported me during that time too, right? They was like, hey, Mitchell, I got some food sending to your house. I was like, yo, you didn't have to do that. She was like, yeah, I know, but like you gotta eat. And I was like, thank you so much. You know what? It's great to have good people like you in my life. So I'm very grateful. And so, yeah, you know what? When great things happen to them, I'm just as excited. When things don't go the way, yo, I got your back, right? That's how I see it. And I want to be around people that is willing to jump fences, right? And if they're willing to do that, I'm willing to reciprocate, right? And so, yeah, that's the type of love that I want to be around, right? Love is an act. Love is allowing. You don't try to suffer. You don't try to strip away their freedom, because that's what most people do. Don't be that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. That being said, that's the end of the show. Do you guys have any questions? Let's do this for a minute. I'm gonna shut up for a minute. But if you guys have any questions, or let me know what you guys got from this, what resonated with you, that'd be great, right? It lets me know that what I'm doing, that you're gaining a lot of value or some value from this. Yeah. Whew. That's nice. That's nice. I want to read that one quote again. Hold on, let me see. If the feeling in your heart is anxiety, then the function in your hand is powerless. And when you feel powerless, usually some people they get into depressive, angry states. Behind anger is fear. Yeah, behind anger is fear. So, yeah. I'm glad this helped you, Connie, and Shevlin. Jackie, you're still here. Been here for the last 30 minutes. Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah. What are some of the goals that you have in mind for yourself? Just knowing that we're all human, we need each other to live this life resonated with me. Yeah, you know what? It's crazy because you cannot succeed on your own. You cannot succeed on your own. But you can succeed by kissing up and kicking down. Some people did that. And you can also succeed by having a good, what you call that, an army around you, or supporters, people that want you to do well because they think you deserve it. You could do that way too. And that's the more preferred route that I would like to take, because that's what I like. I would like to share whatever I can. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, yeah. Also, what you said earlier about rescuing yourself because no one will save you. Yeah, yeah. That's the sad reality, and not a lot of people know that. And they fall into this whole victim This is me. This is my life. This is how it is for the rest of my life. Like, yes, that is going to happen because you chose that. You chose that path, right? Um, but yeah, it's a choice. You know, you always have a choice. I think I was talking to Jr. I was saying, not I think I know. I was talking to Jr. and I was like, what's the difference between a guy that lives on the street and Warren Buffett, besides their bank account? And I was like, yeah, it's their mindset. It's the way they think. You could take everything away from Warren Buffett, and he can make that back again. Maybe not as much. I don't know, but he could hit his mind. That's why people are willing to sit down and eat dinner with him and pay him millions. I don't know how many millions of dollars it costs to sit down to eat with Warren Buffett. But yeah, you could call it, hey, it's just a hype, but hey, people are willing to pay for it because that's his time. That's what value he brings to the market. Also, you can succeed too when you have friends who will give you some negative feedback to improve on yourself. Yeah. And it depends on how well you take criticism too, right? Not a lot of people take it lightly. And so it's like, how can you take it without being beating yourself up, right? Without beating yourself up. So, yeah. But thank you. I do appreciate that, Connie and Shevlin. I'm glad that you guys got value out of this. It's you guys keep showing up. I know Shevlin. I don't think you've missed anything. So thank you so much. Appreciate you, Connie. I know it gets late over there. So sometimes, hey, when it gets too late, what time is it right now? What, 11? Yeah, it's past your bedtime. But anyways, yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about yet, but I do have a few things that I want to talk about in mind. But let's see, separately or put you on check if yeah, exactly. So you have to have those friends where if they were to tell you something, you're not going to get offended, right? Because if you get someone that tells you something, it's like, who the hell are you to tell me this, right? Then it's like, but you can learn a lot from people from people that knows a lot more than you and people that doesn't know that much. What I mean by that is I heard it somewhere where when you meet someone that doesn't know as much as you should find out what they're reading and what they're watching so that you don't read and watch that, so that you don't waste your time. Right? And then when you find out what people, that are successful, because success leaves clues, that, hey, what are you reading? What kind of seminars are you going to, right? And that leads to more success, right? So I've gained a lot of I learned a lot from Corey Wayne. He taught me a lot. Consistently reading his books and reading other books as well. But yeah, it's just I've never been more at peace, even on my quote unquote worst days, which was kind of like yesterday. But yesterday wasn't that bad, honestly. It wasn't. I was just feeling unmotivated. But yeah, I'm gonna head out now. I'll see you guys on Saturday. I'll figure out a topic, but if you guys want me to talk about anything specific, leave a comment down below or send me a direct message. You got my Mr. Mitchell Tang on Instagram, all right? So I talk to you there. Thank you for all your time. I appreciate you, and have a good night.